It's 8 p.m., the polls are closed, and the votes are pouring in.
Denver 7 is your election headquarters for the 2022 Colorado primaries.
Voting is one of the most important rights and responsibilities we have as citizens.
A U.S. Senate seat up for grabs, and Republican challengers looking to oust Governor Polis.
We need to make sure that we trust the people of Colorado to make their decisions for themselves.
They just want to make sure that we have good leadership that looks to solve the issues, not point fingers.
Tonight, Coloradans make their decision about who will move on to November.
Our freedom as Coloradans, as Americans, is really demonstrated at the ballot box.
Democracy requires our participation.
All right, good evening. We just learned who's going to be taking on Governor Polis in his re-election bid this November. The AP just declared Heidi Ganahl the winner as the Republican gubernatorial nominee.
A very excited watch party there. Good evening, and thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us. Going to have fun tonight. Nearly 900,000 ballots were returned as of noon, and we're already seeing lots of results. In fact, we already have several final calls here.
We have live team coverage breaking down what you need to know for the 2022 primary. But first, let's run those numbers. Republican Lauren Boebert has won the Republican nomination for District 3. She beat challenger Don Coram with 64% of the votes so far.
Joe O'Dea just won the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate race. He will take on, of course, the incumbent Michael Bennet in that Senate seat.
Entrepreneur and CU Regent board member Heidi Ganahl will take on Governor Jared Polis in his re-election bid this November. She beat former Parker Mayor Greg Lopez. Moving along, Democratic incumbent Diana DeGette beat challenger Neil Walia, a former staffer for Governor Hickenlooper. So far, she has 85% of the vote to his 15%.
All right, on to District 4 in the House of Representatives. The race has been called for the incumbent, Ken Buck, who defeated challenger real estate broker Bob Lewis. Buck seeking his 5th term now. He is on the House Judiciary and Foreign Services Committee. He's also a member of the Conservative Freedom Caucus.
District 5's incumbent, Congressman Doug Lamborn, has won the Republican nomination against 3 other challengers. And we have a couple of Democratic challengers looking to unseat Lamborn for District 5. David Torres and Michael Colomb are vying for the Democrat seat.
All right, to the 7th Congressional District now. We have 3 candidates looking to take on the sole Democrat here, Brittany Pedersen. So the 7th is a seat currently held by Democrat Ed Perlmutter, who's not going to run for re-election. So what we're looking at right now, you can see Eric Odlin leading this trio here with 48% of the vote, Tim Reichert 37%, and Laurel Eimer, a favorite of the far right, with 16% of the vote right now. And Colorado gained a seat in Congress after the 2020 census, so we now have an 8th congressional district. It's roughly from Greeley down to Thornton, and we have 4 Republicans and 1 Democrat running in that. There's the results right now. Barbara Kirkmeyer leading the field right there.
Last but far from least, Colorado's Secretary of State race is garnering national attention as the embattled Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters looks to take on incumbent Jenna Griswold while being investigated for election tampering during the 2020 election. Taking a look at the votes right now, Pam Anderson leading with 44% of the vote, Mike O'Donnell 29%, 26% Tina Peters, and Pam Anderson has won that race. All right, and let's go to Joe O'Dea speaking now about his victory live from his watch party.
Super PACs controlled by Biden, Schumer, Michael Bennet. He denied it today. It's not his PAC. Really, Michael? He spent millions and millions of dollars trying to take me out, trying to make sure that this moment here for Colorado didn't happen. Me, Joe O'Dea, a carpenter, just a contractor, you know, has never run for any public office before. Millions and millions of dollars they dumped in. $10 million. They didn't put that in some of the presidential races that they've run. But there's an old football expression that feels really appropriate tonight. You are what the scoreboard says you are, right? You know what that scoreboard says tonight? This is Joe O'Dea 1, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Michael Bennet 0. We did. To all of you and everyone across the state who did so much to make this victory possible, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We've such an incredible team. It's more like a family. And to all of you who rallied in the face of adversity, Celeste, Taylor, David, and I, we are eternally grateful. I also want to thank Representative Hanks for running a tough race. He worked hard. He had an incredible grassroots following. But beating Biden, Bennett is going to take a united effort after a tough primary.
All right, Joe O'Dea speaking, taking a victory lap there at his watch party tonight. He will take on Michael Bennet in the November election for the United States Senate. Now, Colorado Senate primary has picked up a lot of national attention, too. As you saw there, O'Dea is the one who will take on Michael Bennet.
And with the current 50-50 split in the Senate, even one seat is going to make a huge difference. Denver 7 political reporter Megan Lopez joining us live in the studio tonight.
So this one could be close in the general, Megan.
It could certainly be pretty close for comfort for the Democrats. That was at least considered the case early on for Senator Michael Bennet's seat. It's gotten a lot of attention nationally because it's considered vulnerable, though not as vulnerable as some of the other states that are seeing some races, like maybe Pennsylvania, for instance, or Georgia or Arizona. The big question now is just how far a potential red wave will go and if it could possibly reach Colorado, which has become more blue in recent years. Really what I'm going to be paying attention to is unaffiliated voters. They by far make up the biggest voting bloc in the state. Now, the two candidates that you had talked about that are trying to or wanting to take on Michael Bennet, businessman Joe O'Dea, State Representative Ron Hanks, the two in the same party, but they could not be more different in their policies. Hanks is a first-time state representative. He's a military veteran, but most known for his criticism of the 2020 election. O'Dea, meanwhile, a very different type of candidate. He's the son of a police officer. He's owned and run a construction company for 34 years, and he's really kind of focused his message on fighting inflation, fighting crime, and reducing government size, programs, bureaucracy, and spending. He's talked a lot about the Second Amendment. Some things that he's mentioned, for instance, is that he wants to protect the Second Amendment. He doesn't believe that red flag laws are working. So it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of plays out against Michael Bennet in a general election. He now needs to pivot to a much wider audience when we're talking about a general election. Obviously, unaffiliated voters were able to participate in this because this is an open primary. But take a look at the election results that we've got coming out, and you could see they're refreshing every few minutes as we get more results, but you can see just how much confidence the voters, Republicans and unaffiliated voters, had put in Joe O'Dea. I also want to take a quick look at the map so you can really kind of understand how this is breaking down. So blue is going to be Joe O'Dea and where the counties that he was winning, and green is going to be for Ron Hanks. You can see he really did well in certain areas, but it was Joe O'Dea who really did well in the metro area, on the Front Range in particular. So this is something we're definitely going to be watching as this continues to fill out and really questioning how unaffiliated voters really influence this. Early results of what we were seeing, kind of those numbers trickling into the Secretary of State's office, showed just a huge switch between this election, this primary election in 2018, which was the first time that unaffiliated voters could participate in that. And what we saw is more unaffiliated voters casting a Democratic ballot in 2018, more unaffiliated voters this time around, a big number more casting a ballot for the Republican primary this time. So again, we want to see all those final kind of numbers come in. Now it's a pivot to the general election for those Senate candidates.
All right, Megan, and something we've been talking a lot about throughout this is outside money in some of these key Republican races. Joining us now, political science professor from the University of Denver, Seth Maskett. Seth, always great to have you here. So we just saw O'Dea in his speech there talking about that all the bad guys in Washington conspired against him, you know, saying he was too conservative. But did that plan work? Because he's now going to be the nominee, and that's sort of exactly what they were hoping, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things we've seen is Democrats nationally playing a fairly high-stakes game of trying to pick their favorites in the Republican primaries, and they were, you know, trying to pick people who seemed to be less electable for the general election. We know it's a fairly risky game because, you know, one thing we learned in the 2016 election is that the candidate who looks unelectable can sometimes get elected. But also, it doesn't look like it's paid off today. In every one of these races where these outside groups were targeting and targeting the more moderate and trying to get elected the less electable candidate, it doesn't seem to have worked. The more establishment side, the more moderate Republican candidate seems to have gotten the nomination in many of these contests.
So I want to move on to the Tina Peters thing in particular. A lot of people, a lot of this country was watching that Secretary of State's race to see if, you know, she was going to emerge as the Republican Party's favorite. She did not win. In fact, she came in third out of three. What does that say about where Colorado Republicans are tonight?
Well, it suggests, I mean, there's obviously a base of the party that really loves her, and she did very well in the assemblies. She has an enthusiastic base there, but for the rest of the party that seems actually focused on winning statewide, they weren't that impressed with her. I do wonder how much the ongoing hearings in D.C. related to January 6th have actually somewhat tarnished those who have been election deniers. And, you know, that may have harmed her and may have harmed some others. But so far, you know, the party as a whole doesn't seem to be that impressed with her.
All right, Seth, could you do me a favor and stick around for another 45 minutes or so? We'd sure appreciate it. We love having your expertise tonight. Seth Maskett for us.